In 2526, aboard the Covenant carrier Pios Rampage, the minor minister of artifact survey would irritate Nizar Karofsi, fleet master of the fleet of inexorable obedience. The minor minister berated the shipmaster on the slow glassing process of the planet Etlan, and probed Nizar for a quicker solution. The only other method he could try would be to glass a supervolcano, effectively blocking up the sun and condemning the planet's inhabitants to a slow and terrible death. Something Nizat disliked the idea of, even if the victims were human. No, Nizat's blood ran cold as he was approached by Sangheli in indigo Bloodstar armour, his head covered by a full helmet, with a visor hiding his face. The Sangheli was Tel Zatulai, the I suffix indicating he is a Blade Master of the Silent Shadow, the Covenant's premier hunter-killer force who were often dispatched on the High Prophet's orders to remove a high-ranking commander from their post. According to the sect of the Silent Shadow, they were not allowed to remove their helmets in front of a superior who they may one day be ordered to kill. Nizat had every right to be cautious around the Silent Shadow, for they were made up of some of the finest Sangheli warriors in the Covenant. However, they were also cunning and intelligent, often gathering vital information on their foes while behind enemy lines on human worlds, studying their ways and learning their weaknesses. Through Tel Zatulai's reconnaissance of the humans, he had learned of a civil war between the UNSC and the United Rebel Front, whom the latter had a proposal offering of vital intelligence on the UNSC, including locations of UEG planets, in exchange to be spared by the Covenant onslaught. Additionally, the Blade Master had also learned of the Spartans on the same mission, and that the Spartans had been responsible for the destruction and disappearance of 2 Covenant ships. The Silent Shadow would first encounter the Spartans on the icy moon of Sioba, in an abandoned quarry where a plan to hear the United Rebel Front's bargain went astray after also encountering the UNSC on Sioba, who were there for their own mission. The Covenant shot down an Oni Prowler in which the Silent Shadow attempted to gain access to the Prowler's databanks, to scour for the location of human worlds. 2 Silent Shadow Sangheli, wielding red energy swords, engaged Spartan 117. The Spartan fired a round from his M6D at the Sangheli squad leader. In response, the pair rolled off the crashed Prowler and started towards the Spartan, activating their red blades. Though the Silent Shadow had effective armour, under sustained fire, the Sangheli squad leader collapsed into the snow with purple blood seeping from the bullet holes in his dark red armour. The Spartan picked up the dying Sangheli by the throat, shoving him into the other Sangheli to keep the incoming energy sword at bay. The Sangheli attempted a fate on the Spartan, but was shot in the faceplate, causing his shields to flare. Further disoriented, the Spartan grabbed the Sangheli by the wrist and armpit, and was lifted up and impaled with his own sword. However, this was not the last encounter Tel Zatulai and his Silent Shadow would have with the Spartans, though both factions would recognise each other's abilities in combat, with the Silent Shadow referring to the Spartans as demons. The Silent Shadow would again go toe-to-toe with Blue Team on the Ring of Mighty Abundance, a huge ring network of Covenant fleet support stations above the planet Zoist. Desperate and eager to stop the Spartans from destroying the ring, a pair of Silent Shadow Sangheli dropped out of a Grafless, surprising the Spartans. Though one of the shadows that got too close to Kelly was instantly killed by a shot from Linda's M99 stanchion Gauss rifle. The second shadow moving on Master Chief was blown up by a Spanker missile from Brett. The fallen shadows were followed by another 4. In order to fight the Silent Shadow, Blue Team had to drop their tactical nukes. There was a chance that the Silent Shadow could have taken the nukes, disarming them to save the ring, but to do so would deny them the opportunity to kill a Spartan. The second pair of shadows met the same fate as the first, strewn apart by Gauss fire and rockets, but the third pair pursued Blue Team, who tried to make their escape. Unfazed by John's assault rifle fire, Tel Zatulai shot John in the shoulder, throwing him off just long enough for him to miss his grenade launcher shot. Zatulai's companion engaged in a melee with John, narrowly missing the Spartan with his energy sword. The Spartan stomped on the Shadow's knee, stepped back, and shot the Sangheli in the head with an M90 shotgun. John chambered another shell and fired on Zatulai, but the first blade was too agile for the Spartan, and sidestepped, then lunging forward with an overhead strike. John spun inside the blow, jamming his shotgun under Zatulai's helmet, but again the Blade Master was quick, and moved his head, and used his free hand to grab John's wounded shoulder. John quickly grabbed the entrapping arm, and used it to block the energy sword. severing Zatalai's forearm. But despite the amputation, the Blade Master continued to strike towards John's chin, to which he narrowly leaned away from. John fired his shotgun into Zatalai's foot, and used his free hand to push the energy sword away. The Blade Master and the Spartan went to the deck, with Chief on top, smashing Zatalai's sword arm with his shotgun barrel, snapping it sideways, and only stopping when Kelly took the shotgun, placed it against the badly injured Blade Master's head, and fired. There was no denying that John's encounter would tell Zatalai was incredibly close, with the Blade Master able to inflict a small cut on John's neck before he was defeated by the Spartan. And up until this point, Chief had not had such a close call with a Sangheli, and it would certainly not be his last encounter with the Silent Shadow. In 2560 on Zeta Halo, Master Chief would go up against the sadistic so-called Spartan killer, Jaeger Radomnai, a former member of the Silent Shadow, now serving as one of Atriox's finest warriors. Jaeger would go against Sangheli tradition, accepting prosthetic limbs to replace the ones he lost in battle. Jaeger wields two energy swords, one shorter and one longer, a proper sword fighting technique that allowed for longer reaching strikes, shorter jabs and quick counterattacks, and parries. How Master Chief will defeat Jaeger is currently unknown. And that concludes this lore video on Master Chief's battle with the Silent Shadow, but this is only a small dive into the feared Sangheli unit, and if you would like to know more about the Silent Shadow, let us know in the comments, and make sure to keep in the loop with more Halo lore videos by hitting the bell icon and subscribing. And until next time, Spartans, this is Josh, signing out.